MyMac Podcast 922. Making it elsewhere.
And welcome everyone to the MyMac.com podcast for probably the third time now. I haven't been able to keep track. Gaz, for the last 20 plus years, Apple has manufactured the vast majority of their stuff in China. Not a surprise. Obviously, they haven't been alone in doing this. Most major tech companies and many smaller ones have either moved their factories to China or gotten their start there. The pandemic showed that this could be a risky move as China essentially shut the entire country down for a long time, disrupting supply chains everywhere. Apple and now many others are beginning to rethink this strategy and have begun diversifying their manufacturing to other countries in the region as well. Yes, and that's what we're going to talk about in the smart section of this show.
Okay, because that's
what's going to come.
Hi, Guy. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Yeah. Bounce.
Good.
I hate the bounce.
Good. I'm good. We're going to. I'm good. I'm glad that we're going to be talking about it in the second section because I just had a sneaky thought as well that I'd like to add to that because it may not be quite so cut and dried as you made out there, but we'll discuss it in the second section, which is good. How have you been this week then? Have you been doing anything? Any COVID activities that you've been getting up to recently?
Actually, non-COVID activities. If you remember last week, I kind of had a cold. That I don't think we talked about it on air, but I was not at my best, which, granted isn't saying much, but I wasn't at my best last week. And I'm still kind of getting over it. And I've managed to give it to my wife as well. So she's really happy with me about that. Yeah.
The wife's always really happy when you give her stuff.
Yeah. Usually they expect jewelry, not so much disease.
And it's got to be the right disease.
There are some diseases that are worse than others. Yes, there are. But we're not going to go moving right past that. I had this odd side effect that's never happened to me before. I also suddenly got a toothache in like my lower right molar. Okay. And I was really, really worried about it. It only hurt when I like ate. So if anything that was cold, anything that was hot. I was
going to say it only hurt when you breathed.
Yeah. So I decided to stop breathing.
Oh, cool. Good.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was really worried about, because I do have one of my molars, and don't even ask me where. I don't know which one it is.
In your mouth, hopefully.
It is in my mouth, but the dentist has it like on a watch because apparently there's something
Why has he got your molar on his watch? I mean, what is going on here?
Well, it's an Apple Watch, so it's like does all kinds of things. Now there was something about the X-rays that he took some time ago. It was like, we're going to keep an eye on this tooth. But what really had me worried was that it was, going to be bad or whatever, and he'd have to pull it, and then I'd have to get like another very expensive implant. The two I had cost me like 10 grand. But on the day of the appointment, the pain started to kind of fade away along with some of my other cold symptoms. Mm-hmm. And when he came in to see me, he couldn't find anything wrong. And as it turned out, the tooth in question was one of the implants. So it was like, okay, well, you're not going to yank an implant and then put in an implant. No, that doesn't work very well. And he said, and I'd never heard of this before, he said it was likely reflected pain from a sinus infection, which I had never heard of before. So, it's not phantom pain.
No, it's not phantom pain because if it's pain, it's not phantom, is it? But yeah. I've heard of this before, this sort of thing before. So as soon as you said that, I thought, this is probably some sort of
sinus thing.
I wasn't thinking of phantom pain, but that's some sort.
Yeah, he called it reflected pain,
reflected pain.
Yeah, and when I got home, I actually looked it up, and it was like, that's really a thing. How about that? I'm not crazy. from that.
Well,
so anyway, the other thing I did last week, I have a 4 terabyte drive that I use to archive all my video, which includes the MyMac Podcast, Guy's Daily Drive, all the video that I generate and put online. I keep a local copy of it. And the reason for that is if you're uploading videos and for one reason or another, YouTube or whoever it is you're posting it decides to take your channel away or your account away, you may not get the opportunity to get those videos back. So I have a large 4 terabyte drive that I've been using as a video archive, but it was up to like 3.5 terabytes of being full. So it was like, okay, well, I got to do something about this. So I bought an 8 terabyte drive for like $125, which to me, I'm thinking back to now, granted, this goes back away. So I'm thinking back to 1987, Gaz, when I bought my very first Mac, a Mac Plus. On top of that, I bought a SCSI drive, a 40 megabyte SCSI drive.
Megabyte, folks.
Megabyte. You couldn't even put an MP3 on that today. And that cost me $700.
You can't get storage these days with megabytes.
No. They don't exist. And so I've got this big 4-bay enclosure. So I took out one of the other drives, put this 8 terabyte drive in it, and then started the copy from the 4 terabyte drive to the 8 terabyte drive. It took like 2 days to copy all that over. And then, swapped everything back around. So now it's cooking with gas, but it's probably going to take a couple of weeks for
Guy. Don't talk about gas in Europe, please. It's not
okay. Well, but I wasn't cooking with petroleum.
You mean a different sort of gas to the sort of gas I'm talking about then?
I don't. Well, gas can mean many things, Gaz.
No, gas can mean the stuff.
Did you have hot dogs and beans for dinner last night?
I'm not talking about gasoline. I'm talking about gas.
Oh, that kind of gas.
Kind of gas, yes.
All right.
The Russian type of gas.
Okay. Well, that's ends up being gasoline.
This conversation has gone down the wrong way.
Going nowhere.
This is Americans' non-need for gas and Europe's high need for gas, not from Russia, is what is causing this problem of this conversation. Let's move on. So you were cooking on gas. That's good.
Cooking with gas, not on gas, but with gas. And my offsite data backup solution is probably going to take weeks to catch up. And that's pretty much all I got. What do you got going on?
Well, this week I haven't done a lot on my Mac, mainly because my daughter is still here. They have now, they're going through the rigmarole of purchasing a house, a rigmarole, because it is a rigmarole. It can be over here in the UK. And
it
so they are still here, and she is obviously back at work, it being the new year. So I don't get to play on my Mac during the day. But I have been out 3 times volunteering locally this week. And on those volunteering jobs, we were actually outside doing some hedge laying. So I was able to gain a load of offcuts of wood and also some big logs as well. And I've used those offcuts to create a load of
firewood?
Kindling.
Okay.
But I've also,
I guess hedges isn't going to give you. It's not like you're going to get huge logs.
No,
from,
but we were putting
from hedgerows.
We were hedge laying so that we had lots of stakes and stuff. So I was using a lot of that wood.
Right.
So I've made a lot into kindling, which will dry out, and I'll use that next year. But I also did get some big logs as well, which I will split. And again, those were already dried logs, so that was good. But no, not a lot. Just constantly on my phone. Using YouTube a lot. YouTube on the Apple TV is a nightmare, Guy. Absolute nightmare. I don't know what they're doing, but I mean, the issue I'm having with YouTube on Apple TV is every time it goes to an ad, what you get is the option often to skip an ad, don't you? But you don't get that option until like 5 seconds in. And what happens on the Apple TV at the moment, I don't know whether this happens just on the older version of the TV, Apple TV, or whether it happens on all Apple TVs because the software is the same. That's what I'm guessing. Is the ad comes on and then the screen goes blank while it thinks about something. And then when the ad comes back on, there's like 1 second left. So you play that 1 second, and then you go skip. And then it goes back to your content and it shows like half a second, a very short piece of what you were watching. And then it goes blank for a second and then goes back to playing it. It's just YouTube. I don't know what you're doing, but get it fixed because it's a nightmare. Because I'm not seeing any of the ad. Because the way you process it, YouTube, is the ad comes on and you're allowing me to skip it, but you're obviously trying to give me a little bit, so at least I catch some of it. But I'm not catching any of it. I'm just waiting for it to go out of the black screen so I can then skip it because it says, oh, you can skip now. It
might not be YouTube because my wife is having that exact same problem. Right. And it's an older Apple TV upstairs.
So it could be an older Apple. I did wonder that whether.
And it's on the latest version of tvOS, so it's not like she's skipping over updates.
No, mine is as well. So that's but it'd be odd if it was the older Apple TV that's doing that, really. So anyway, so I've been using my iPad and the Apple TV. I've been trying to catch up finally with Mosquito Coast. We've been watching that, been enjoying that. And we've been catching up with the second season of Slow Horses, which is...
I haven't finished the first season yet.
Are you enjoying it?
I haven't watched it in a couple of weeks. I need to get back into it again.
So, all right. So you need... you may not like it. You may not like it.
I saw the first 2 or 3 episodes. The one with Gary Oldman, right? That's what you're talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great show.
Yeah. So we're catching up on that, but that's it really. I am going to create some videos because folks, we're getting to that time of our lives when
we have spare time.
Well, not just the spare time. I have quite a lot of spare time, especially. But. Where my wife said to me today, Mrs. G, she said, "You're
get out of the house."
You're going to have to show me how to do certain things on the computer because if you get run over by a bus, have a heart attack, which is more likely now than it is 10 years ago, I'm not going to be able to go into the systems and do, all the little nitty gritty stuff that you do, certainly with the bank accounts and with the budgeting account that I do. So I'm going to create some videos for her rather than just take her through it. Because, if I don't die for 10 years, fingers crossed it's even more, no one's going to remember what to do. So I thought I'll create a video of all the little bits that she needs to do so that she can go in and she doesn't have to remember anything. She doesn't have to write anything down. It'll be there on a video.
She just has to be able to know how to get to the video.
Well, I'll send her the damn video, you fool.
I see the flaw in your plan.
You fool.
Well, what else?
Who was in the A-team that said you fool? Who was it?
Oh, that was Mr. T.
Yeah. You fool.
I pity the fool that don't eat my breakfast cereal.
Yeah. Did he used to advertise a breakfast cereal?
He did.
States?
He actually had. There was a Mr. T. This is so off topic that I would love to say that I expect off topic conversations like this, but sometimes they just go so far to the left field that you just sit there and you go, wow. Mr. T breakfast cereal. We got there somehow.
I don't, and the thing is, the problem with getting there is we don't know how to get out of it, do we? So
no. Well, it was good cereal, if that helps.
Oh, that's good. Do I need to ask you about a mic or not?
No, it's still my NT1.
Okay, so I'm going to jump straight into Gaz's snippets. The first one I've got was, it said, just how popular is each Mac? New data reveals surprising mix of form, factor, and design. And apparently, I've got lots of tables here and lots of information, and I was going to go through it, but I was then looking at it thinking, oh, that's just a load of rubbish. It doesn't really mean anything at all because you just like which Mac you like. So, who cares? So
I'm glad you brought it up then.
That snippet really died a death on me. But I thought
did you hear about Mr. T's breakfast cereal?
Well, I left it in there because I just found it. I didn't want to take it away. Apple makes finding a parking spot easier than ever with the latest feature. So Apple Maps is making it somewhat easier to track down parking options on your final destination. The company is teaming up with Spot Hero, who I've never heard of, a popular third-party parking platform. I mean, if they're third-party, why didn't they use the second or first party? Anyway, to give you a rundown of... Did you get that, Kai? You did get it, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
To give you a rundown of parking availability at landmarks across the United States and Canada. That's probably why I'd never heard of them, because they're not over here yet. Anyway, so there you go.
I've actually used that company.
Okay.
And we'd gone down to Richmond. We were looking for a parking space in Richmond. And the only way to pay for parking was through this app. And it was like, oh, God, what a pain in the neck. And I mean, I went all the way through it and I got my parking spot. And I was really hoping I would never have to do it again. However, it sounds like
can I ask a question then?
Yeah.
Are they now? I don't know from this information whether they are just teaming up with them or whether they are teaming up with them so that you can pay for that parking spot and then you're
I'm sure
to get it.
Also pay.
Yeah. So there you go, Apple monetizing every stream they can in any which way. Apple have been accused, Guy, of systematic violations of user privacy in a new class action lawsuit.
What?
Do you want me to read more on this or not?
Yeah.
Apple is facing another class action lawsuit over its practice of allegedly collecting and sending analytic data from iPhone users, regardless of whether or not the user gave consent. This lawsuit was filed last week. That may mean the week before, in Pennsylvania Eastern District Court, and it follows a separate class action suit filed in November. Looking forward to that. Some first responders are asking iPhone users to disable emergency SOS and crash detection due to influx of false positives. So
yeah, I can see that.
We heard initially that people was telling them, or some of the police forces were telling people not to turn it off. But it seems though that may have backfired for some areas because they're getting so many, they now need people to turn it off or disable it. So we shall see what goes on.
Well, I mean, that's come up on my phone a couple times.
The thing is, though, the more Apple learn that it's a false negative, the more they will be able to get the algorithm right. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation, really. Okay, this, why did I put in? You can celebrate the iPhone's 16th birthday. Can you believe that, Guy?
Yeah.
16 years.
Yeah, 2007.
Just incredible. Anyway, you can celebrate the iPhone 16th birthday with this wallpaper inspired by Apple Origin Teaser. I don't know what that means. Designer and creative pro Basic Apple Guy is out with his latest wallpaper for iPhone, iPad, Mac and Apple Watch in honor of Apple announcing its original smartphone. So basically, if you do a search for, I'll put a link. I'll send Guy a link and we'll put that in the show notes. So you can.
Okay. Do you use any wallpaper other than what comes stock with the phone?
Yeah, I use my wallpaper.
Okay.
I use my images as I do on the Mac. I use images that I've created as wallpaper and as yeah. I don't.
I mean, it's nice that you can. I very rarely bother.
Well, there you go. I think a lot of people used to. I certainly used to do that a lot on the PC, and when I went over to the Mac, I did like the wallpapers. So, and it always comes up. So enough people obviously download them and want to use them. Apple's top services VP is leaving the company later on this month, and the reorganization is already underway. Peter Stern, Apple's vice president of services, is leaving. Apparently he wants... now, is this the guy that wants to spend more... No, it's not. There was one of the guy that was leaving want to spend more time in California. I didn't quite get that, but there you go. Apple shares...
Isn't that where Apple is?
Well, no, I think wants spend more time so he can spend more time touring. Anyway, let's not dwell on that. Apple shares ads highlighting iPhone 14 action mode and iOS 16 messages undo send. I watched these and I don't know whether they made me smile. They were quite good, but I've never used them. I've never been able to run down the side of a race where my son, daughter.
Did you see the commercial?
That's what I'm talking about, Guy. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Her basic mom is for people who haven't seen it.
Can I just make a point here?
Yeah.
No way would she be able to run down the side like that, because she'd be tripping over just about everybody, because they wouldn't be there's an important mother who's doing obviously a video of her chosen one, and she's using the iPhone. Let's move out of her way so that she doesn't miss the action, because all of this time I've been thinking about that. I've missed the action by thinking about what I've just told you.
Well, unless she weighs about 350 pounds, she would hit me like a solid brick wall.
Precisely.
Once I have size 16 feet and I weigh about 275, 280 pounds. So when you hit me at speed, it's immovable object versus...
I think the point is we're missing, they'll say we're missing the point. It's the fact that the action is nice and smooth. Let's give us some real life scenarios, because that ain't a real life scenario.
No, and based on the commercial that I saw, the way she was moving the phone, no, that was not the same video footage.
Are you doubting them, Guy?
I am doubting their advertising company. I think they are full of caca.
I think you best say that is your opinion. Anyway,
it is my opinion.
Apple TV users complain about the tvOS 16.2 Watch Now redesign. I haven't come across this, but apparently Apple TV users are not happy with the design changes that Apple added to the TV app with the launch of 16.2. Apple with tvOS 16.2 and its sister updates demoted Up Next section to the Watch Now tab of the Apple TV app, instead adding a large feature content section with no option to disable it. And apparently people are saying, I absolutely hate the new format. They roll into previews with audio. WTF, Apple. Up Next is tiny and now easily skipped over on purpose. And when you're on the Up Next now, the same Apple TV Plus shows take up 85% of the screen below. So apparently people are not happy with it. I've not noticed it, to be honest with you. So apparently Tata are near to becoming the first Indian Apple iPhone assembler.
I thought you said tartar, like tartar in the mouth, but no, you're talking about Tata, the Indian manufacturer.
Tata, yeah.
Okay. Got to be really careful how you say that.
Ta-ta. Anyway, people
don't
might
say
be
it
saying,
like a plural. Don't say it like a plural.
Tartars. Tartars are becoming near. Anyway, people might be saying, hang on a minute, aren't Foxconn the first to be assembling and making? No, what they're talking about here is this is an Indian company.
And more on that in the next part.
Excellent. Apple and Major League Soccer unveil the broadcasters for MLS Season Pass. I haven't looked at it. I don't think I'll be using it, but it's out there if you want to go and find it, folks. Apple Podcasts now lets creators publish subscription content directly from hosting providers. So on Tuesday, Apple announced a major update for podcast creators. Starting that day, Apple Podcasts will let creators publish subscription content directly from the dashboard of participating hosting providers. The company says this will make it easier than ever to launch and grow shows and subscriptions on Apple Podcast, making sure that they take 30% as well, I guess.
What? I haven't actually used the podcast app all that much. I will have to look at it again. It sounds like they've made some big changes to it.
I'm still using Downcast, if I'm honest with you. Apple Store developers have earned, wait for it, Guy, 320 billion with a B. 320 billion.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Wonder how much
that they wouldn't have otherwise had, because you're not going to get that from Android.
No. Tom Brady. Oh, I did. Yeah, we mentioned this earlier. We were talking about this earlier. Tom Brady taking it on the chin with FTX Holdings. Your favourite billionaire New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft and star NFL quarterback Tom Brady are among those sharing in the pain of FTX Group's sudden implosion.
Sorry, what's his name? What's his name again?
Tom Brady.
Are you sure that's his name?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
No.
I didn't do it.
No, you didn't, but Guy was thinking of a naughty word to put in between Tom and Brady. You can put any expletive in there you like. This is not Apple related at all, folks. I just did it and popped it in because I know how much Guy appreciates and likes Tom Brady.
To the point, I will drop my absolute favorite NFL team if he ever becomes involved in it.
In any way, shape, or form.
In any way, shape, or form. Playing against them, that's fine. I don't care. I want my team to win, but I don't care about that part of it.
Apple to make
to owning, no to playing for.
Guy, I'm moving on. Okay, just
I can't.
Just let
I
it
can't.
Apple to make custom displays in-house, starting with the micro LED for Apple Watch Ultra in 2024. Are we talking about that in the next section or not?
No.
Okay, well, apparently starting in 2024, Apple plans to use custom displays that it designs in-house for mobile devices like the iPhone and Apple Watch. That report came from Bloomberg. Apparently, the Apple Watch infringe Masimo's pulse oximetry patent. A US judge has ruled, Guy. Apple infringed on one of the medical technology companies Masimo's pulse oximeter patents when it launched Apple Watch models that use light sensors to measure the amount of oxygen in the blood. Okay. This just came from Apple, so I don't really know what it means. Introducing Apple Business Connect. Apple Business Connect is a free tool that allows businesses to customize the way information appears across Apple Maps, Messages, and other apps. So go out and find it, folks, if you need it.
Sounds like fun.
Sounds like fun. Apple has fallen off Glassdoor's 100 best places to work list, Guy. Glassdoor.
Well, since there's nobody in the office, does it really matter?
Well, no, but you still work for a company, even if you don't work for them in the office. Glassdoor has released its 100 Best Places to Work report of 2023, but for the first time in over a decade, Apple is absent from the list.
Oh, no.
Last year, it was ranked 56 after being ranked 31 in 2021. There's the decline, Guy. Can we imagine that there is going to be an equal decline in their products and services? Oh, no. Well,
no.
Well, you say that quite confidently.
I do.
I'm not so sure. Apparently, Apple's annual shareholders meeting is going to take place virtually on March the 10th. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Apple's Tim Cook to take a 50% pay hit after... Why did you do that to me?
Sorry.
Okay? Happy with that now? Yeah.
I am. I feel better.
Okay. Apple's Tim Cook...
Greetings, Tim the Enchanter.
...is going to take a 50% pay hit after shareholder feedback. Compensation for CEO down from 99.4 million in 2022 to an expected 49 million for the current year. However, what none of this tells you is I've got a feeling he may well be getting some better share options. But that's just me. That's just me.
He'll have to use store brand bologna instead of the fancy German kind.
Yes. Yes. What?
Poor Tim.
Oh, hang on a minute.
There are some who call me Tim.
Apple Music exec has added Apple TV Plus to the responsibilities amid the service's leadership reshuffle, following the surprise departure of Apple Services VP Peter Stern. Apple is reorganizing the expansive services division by formally splitting the businesses into 3 separate units. A new VP running each group. The VPs will report to Eddie Q, SVP of Services. There you go. Apple apparently are going to lean on LG for production of its first Apple Watch micro LED display. So they might be designing it in-house, but they're still getting it made elsewhere.
Well, it's not like they've got a couple of 100,000 people that you're just going to throw into the tech donut there in Cupertino and say, okay, start making these screens, people. You can't leave tonight until we have 20 screens from each of you.
Anyway,
yeah, I'll just be quiet.
I forgot to tell you that Apple the previous to the last story, the VP is Oliver Schuster. I should have told you that, actually. I didn't say his name. Because
he's no Sansagoin, though.
He's no Sansagoing, and that Sansagoingly is the end of Gaz's snippets.
Okay.
I do have a couple of Gaz's links, though.
Ooh,
I didn't put them in, and I should have done. So let me go here.
Well, make sure you put them in at some point.
I'll paste them across. Okay. This one, Gaz's link. Now, Gaz's links are typically nothing nothing to do with Apple. BMW has updated 90% of EVs sold in the US over a power software bug. So, your once reliable vehicle that you could knowingly go turn on the engine and drive because you checked the oil and you checked everything else last night, well, that's going away, folks, because now every car that's probably going to be built, which is electric from this point onwards, may well occasionally need to be turned off and on again and still not work. So that just made me...
Well, if they'd stop using Windows XP, I think they would be much better off.
And this one was actually connected to Apple in a way, not directly, indirectly. iPhone designer Sir Johnny Ive has paid tribute to a guy called Tom Karen. Apparently, the man who played a pivotal role in the development of the iPhone has spoken of his admiration for his fellow designer, Tom Karen. So Johnny Ive's comments followed the death of Mr. Karen on New Year's Eve at the age of 96. Well, he had a good innings. Wow. In a statement to the BBC, Ive said, "I'm so grateful for his encouragement. Mr. Karen, who lived in Cambridge, worked on the cult classic Raleigh Chopper." Now, that is a bike. You may or may not have had that in the US, I don't know, but the Raleigh Chopper was classic, absolute classic bike, as well as the Bond bug car and the Marble Run toy. He was the managing director of Letchworth Base Ogle Design until 1999 and was appointed OBE in 2019. So there you go. I just found that quite nice that I've paid tribute to someone else who was an inspiration for him, and also it allowed me to say chopper.
Yeah, how many times do you get to do that on this show?
Not often can you say the word chopper. I like my chopper. Of course,
I never would have thought we'd talked about Mr. T's breakfast cereal, but there you go.
And that, folks, is the end of Gaz's.
All right, we have a somewhat actually. Is it weird that we've had like the last couple of weeks somewhat serious topics to talk about?
Is it weird? I don't think
it seems weird. I don't know why. But the thing we're going to talk about today is making it somewhere else. Now, if COVID-19 has taught us nothing else, it's that having all of your eggs in one basket, or in Apple's case, all of your major manufacturing in one country, is not such a great idea, no matter how much money it saves you over how you did it before. China's questionable moves to improving relations to Russia for additional manufacturing support in exchange for increased energy exports is showing how quickly political realities can overtake the plans of people and companies outside of the issue. China's forced shutting down of major tech hubs to control the spread of whatever the latest COVID variant was has just kind of emphasized this point of maybe adding a little diversity in where your stuff is made is probably not a bad idea. And let's stop there for a second before I move on to the other stuff I wrote. And is there anything in there, Gaz, that you don't agree with?
No, I agree with all of it. But I also would like to say that personally, I think that there's also going to be a certain amount of the fact that when a country starts becoming a big manufacturer and they start earning more and more money from that process, the people that they're using will start to expect more and more. So the actual cost of doing production in those countries will start to go up. Now, that could mean that a company also starts to realize, this is also a good option and possibly a good possibility for us to take our manufacturing to where it's slightly cheaper. I don't think that's ethical. I don't think it's right. But there may be a little bit of that in the background to why some of this production is being moved. Irrespective of China's political positioning and how you feel about China, that will also happen, I think, wherever you take your production, because those people eventually will want a lot more money because they will need to become more professional in the roles that they're having to do. And that happens everywhere. Just look at look at any country that's had an industry which has become more automated. Sure. So you can blame Ford for this. Also, there's another thing here, totally off topic, totally off tangent. I blame Ford for the current environmental disaster that we've got, because they had the opportunity to create and go, and they were the ones that really created mass production on car manufacturing. They had the opportunity to produce cars electrified at the very start, and they decided to go down the ICE route. So it's Ford's fault. There you go. Anyway, moving on.
Well, there was a reason for that. There's many reasons for that. But we're not going to talk about that.
There was one
today.
reason. There was one reason.
It was cheaper. But as far as
we're not talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as manufacturing goes, I mean, let's keep in mind that the biggest reason why all these companies went to China was because the cost of building these things was much lower in China.
Absolutely.
I am not convinced that cost of manufacturing being cheaper elsewhere is the biggest factor in people trying to move.
I didn't say it was the biggest factor.
I know. I'm not saying you did, but it is. It can kind of be implied, and I'll tell you why. Because that is the history of mass production. You always move your mass production to where your costs for creating widget A or widget B is going to be lower than where you were making it before. And it's the reason why so much of this manufacturing is now in China. But I don't think that that's why some of it is being moved around now. I think that the more so COVID than any political stuff has shown people that having everything in a country that can just suddenly take everything away from you because of the nature of China's government is probably not such a great idea. Now,
I'm sorry.
Well, let me finish. Let me finish.
Can I just say,
don't interrupt. If you interrupt, I'm going to lose my train of thought. Because where they're talking about moving it to, which is Taiwan, Vietnam, India, is not that different politically than where they have it now. Okay, go ahead.
My point is they should damn well know that putting all your eggs in one basket
is a terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea for anything, especially when it's that key to your business. It's just a stupid idea. So, anyway.
Agreed. All right. So what kind of brought all this on is that Apple and one of their main contractors, which is Foxconn, is rumored to be moving some production of iPads and MacBooks to Vietnam, which, if true, would make Vietnam the second biggest, if this is true, the second biggest manufacturer of Apple products outside of China. And, this isn't the only shift away from China, as Taiwan has been producing the iPhone SE for the last few years, and India as well has begun producing the iPhone 14. So part of this story as well was that if the rumors are true, India will become a much bigger player in the production of iPhones because typically India has been used as a kind of a stopgap. If manufacturing has issues or if manufacturing is maxed out at a main plant in China, then at some point after the introduction of products, they'll move some of that capacity down to India. But what I was reading about this morning was that it would be on top of and not just in relation to problems of manufacturing in China. So India could very well, from the get-go, once products are announced, become a major exporter of iPhones for Apple. Now, and this goes into opinion, Apple has to be careful. Its products remain popular in China, and it is one of their biggest markets outside of the US and Europe. Angering the Chinese government by shifting manufacturing out of China could lead to consequences of, and they've done this before, officially discouraging sales of Apple products inside China and possibly slowing down the shipping of parts to other countries, which Apple still relies on very heavily in China. It's not like Foxconn has this huge factory and every single bit of what it takes to create an iPhone is manufactured there. They have smaller manufacturers that are spread out all over the entire region to make screens, to make memory, to make switches, to make, cases, to make whatever it is that's required to make an iPhone. And if suddenly there's issues with getting pieces A, B, C, and D from where they're manufactured to the factory where it's all put together, that could also be a major problem.
Yep.
So it's kind of a delicate dance with a single misstep having huge ramifications for Apple if they guess wrong.
And that's why, putting all your eggs in one basket is not a good idea, and spreading the bet is the best thing. But you got to spread your bet. You got to spread your bet appropriately as well. So, I'm as wary about India to a degree for various different reasons as I am about China. Actually, I quite like the idea of bringing China into the world of commercialism and capitalism to a degree, although I'm not totally a capitalist. I don't think it works everywhere. But you got to get them more on side, and they understand that they've then got to be a part of that wider community. India, for different reasons, I think we just got to be a bit careful of some of their processes. But it's all about cheap manufacturing. We're in a global industry where you just try and find it cheap, and cheap is ethically not always the right thing to do. But hey, that's why I'm sat here and I'm not sat where Tim is.
I would agree with that. No, There's so much nodding happening here.
Hit it. Gaz's tips. Mostly. Gaz's tips. Mostly. Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip.
Keystrokes, Guy. Couple of quick ones. Command H, hide your current window. That can be a real useful one, especially if you need to hide the current window quickly. And Command D, this basically selects the desktop folder from within an open dialog or save dialog. Yeah,
I was not aware of that.
That's one thing which, yes, I think can be quite useful. I mean, I don't use it that often because I've got actually a default folder X, which is really useful. But this one I grabbed from the Apple website, so I'm hoping that it's correct. It's generally in Documents, but Command D, select the desktop folder from within an open dialog or a save dialog.
Yeah, I actually have a brother and a sister who constantly save everything to their desktop. And when I look at their computers and I see the multitude of folders and files and everything else.
They obviously know the Command D option already.
I shake my head ruefully, Gaz.
Oh, well, I'm nodding mine.
There you go.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Okay, is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz's tips.
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
Okay, there we go. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. Oh, I was trying.
No,
I saw something. I'm sorry. I saw something there.
Used inappropriately.
Incorrectly. That is a -1 for me.
Yes.
I saw the little audio file here in Farrago, and it was like, what the hell is that? And it was like, oh, I know what that is. Okay.
It's the reverse, folks, of this.
It's the reverse. It's the reverse of Gaz's snippets. Because every once in a while, something happens and we have to restart Gaz's snippets or actually stop it and then come back to it later.
But it's generally, folks, me that should be using that, not Guy. So, you know.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Have you got any a
pick?
For pick's sake?
I do. I have a for pick's sake this week, and I don't typically agree with this very often, but in this case, it's a pretty good bargain, folks. And what makes it even an odder pick is that it's Microsoft. Microsoft 365 Personal, $70 a year. This gets you 5 licenses for the entire Microsoft Office suite, and it'll work on pretty much everything you own, from your phone to your iPad to your Mac, and includes 1 terabyte of cloud storage. Now, if that was it, $70 a year, $69.99. What a bargain!
Bargain.
But if you have a family, for $30 more per year, you can have up to 6 people in total with all of these same things. And it would also include a terabyte of online storage for each person. And that's Microsoft 365 Personal and Microsoft 365 Family, or whatever they call it. I consider that to actually be quite a good bargain, and even more so coming from Microsoft.
I tell you what, I've got to agree with you. It probably doesn't include Microsoft Access.
Because that's not available for the Mac.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But if you're not on a Mac, then, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But can I just say that actually, that's if you're in the UK, that's £4.50 a month.
Yeah.
If you could do that. So that is pretty damn good when you think about it, considering it's Microsoft as well.
Yeah. And a subscription service, which I'm not typically a fan of.
And I have to say, I think it is free to use most of their services, obviously, except Access. If you, there's only a few people that want to use Access anyway. But I think it is free for online use only. Now, I don't know whether you get any usage of the cloud storage, but I think you can use any of the apps for free if you've got an account or a login with 365. But even so, you can only use it on the web, which is a little bit more restrictive. But for an extra $4.50 a month, pretty damn good. Yeah, so well done, Microsoft. That's all I can say. Do you think that we thought when we first started doing MyMac that we'd be going, well done, Microsoft?
No. And it always, because we've actually talked about this before, and every single time it comes up, I just kind of like, wow, I'm saying nice things about Microsoft. What is wrong with me? There must be something wrong with me.
There is.
Well, I'm not saying there's not, but it's not related to this particular pick.
No.
Okay. Also, if you can, please go to timeout.com. They have a list of helpful Ukrainian donation sites. Or if you don't want to do that, just go right to the Ukrainian Red Cross or Doctors Without Borders. There will be links in the show notes to all of these. And we wish the people of the Ukraine the best. Now, no feedback this week, even though we have a new number that you can call, and no one has called it yet. So who will be that first person?
Oh, yes. There could be a very special
Woody?
prize. Yeah, I was going to say, is a Wooty a prize? That's the problem. Anyway, you could get a Wooty if you're the first person to call that new number. However, I did actually get, this was not from last week, the week before, maybe, I'm not sure, from 10X over Twitter. He sent me a DM actually saying that I probably wouldn't remember, but Scion used to sell a product called the Wayfinder, which allowed you to record broadcasts off air to an MP2 file. That's how far we were going back. He still has his in a box somewhere. And yeah, he also said that Splasm is making great MP3s.
Splasm. Who is it that makes that?
Splasm. No, Splasm is that's who makes Audio Book Builder.
Oh, okay. I knew I'd heard that recently.
Yeah. He also thanked BBC, all the plays from the BBC radio as well. So thanks, 10X. Yeah, totally agree with you. With you.
And if you would like to support the program, you can go to Patreon. We have a Patreon page, patreon.com/MacPettit. We have a coffee page. That makes me laugh every single time. We have a coffee page, ko-fi.com/MacParrot. And you can pay a pal at paypal.me/MacParrot. Yeah, guess. If people wanted to contact you and say, Splasm?
Who the hell is Splasm?
Who the hell are they? How would they do so?
Ever so easy. Send an email to gazjz@mymac.com or on Counter Social, Mastodon, Twitter as Gazmaz, GAZMAZ.
Cars.
Twitter, or on Twitter only, you can send a tweet to both Guy and Gaz, GYANDGAZ on Twitters. You can also send an email to feedback@mymac.com, FWDBACK at mymac.com. Now, I'm just going to do this.
What more could a guy want?
Exactly. You got it.
Thanks, guy.
Hey, welcome to the Guy Podcast.
I don't know who this guy is.
Any guy.
You can do so much better than that guy. Better than that guy.
Yeah!
Guy.
Guy.
Have a good one, guy.
By being the good guy.
I'm a good guy.
Who is this guy?
Who is this guy?
Just who is this guy?
You got some new ones.
Your guy. Your guy. It's you.
Yeah.
I love you.
Good guy.
He's also a really cute guy.
Yeah.
Let who kiss you?
Guy. I think guy's like a symbol.
So, guy.
Who are you, really?
Guy.
Guy, we need to talk.
This is a classic guy line.
Who the hell even knows who this guy is?
I'm here with Guy. The Guy.
My real name continues to be Guy.
Look at this guy.
Who is blue shirt guy?
Blue shirt guy. I know that guy. My name is Guy.
You think I'm crazy, don't you?
You must have more than one page of these by now.
I'm talking about the fact that Guy is not a player.
A non-toxic guy. Guy, I need you to listen to me.
Okay.
You remember Guy?
Guy?
If you want,
An email from Guy.
how would they do it?
His name was Guy.
Oh.
No fooling.
Oh. Was so waiting for that. You could send that to Guy. Big surprise. MyMac.com. You can also contact me on Counter Social and Twitter and Mastodon as Mac Pettit. Also, Vert Shark on Twitter. And what else? We have a Skype telephone number, Gaz.
We don't.
That we hope to retire at some point, which is 1 or +1 outside the United States, 703-436-9501. That number again, Gaz, is 1 or +1 outside the United States, 703-436-9501. Or if that 1 or +1 has offended your family in some way or another, then just go right to the Skype app and dial 703-436-9501. But that's not the only number. We're still waiting for that first caller for our new Google Voice number, because we're on the cutting edge of technology. Yeah. And that Google Voice number is
the end of the edge. Of
pretty much. It's like Edge Guy and Gaz as we fall right off. Yeah. And that's 703-828-4677. So this is the point of the show where I say thank you for sticking with us through thick and thin all of these years. We really, really do appreciate it. Thank you all so very, very much for downloading and listening. Listen to this show. And Gaz, I think that we're good enough.
Yep.
With all these smart topics. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I think we're smart enough, and that doggone it, woof, wilf. Where is that woof? People like us.
Guy, my dad told me a joke about boxing, but I missed the punchline.
Oh.
End.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home. So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on home and go home.